Artificial intelligence gone rogue has become a popular trope in fiction since the Terminator graced the movie theaters. Most, if not all, stories with this trope start the same. AI being good and helpful, then it goes haywire, and protagonists must do something before AI wipes out all of humankind. But in the Netflix TV series Cassandra, creator Benjamin Gucha uses a compelling narrative to put context in AI becoming evil. Utilizing retro-futuristic aesthetics mixed with modern technology, this sci-fi thriller miniseries intertwines two stories that show family tragedies. And despite the AI taking the blame, the bottom line is always the choices people make that lead to these tragedies. We see the Prill family moving into a vintage smart home. Samira sees this move as a fresh start from their horrible past, and her husband David fully supports her. They both hope that their children, Fynn and Juno, can find their place in their new home. Built in the 70s, the house boasts an artificial intelligence system that's considered too advanced for its time. However, it hasn't been used in 50 years, so the family isn't really looking forward to it. But Fynn tinkers with the server found in the basement, as well as the robot with a small square television for a head. And voila! The robot-made Cassandra is reactivated, ready to serve her new family. Cassandra can do most household chores, thanks to her hand-like appendages, which are interchangeable depending on her task. At first, everyone in the family likes it, especially Juno, but soon Samira notices the red flags that make her suspicious about their robot. First, there are several retro-style televisions installed in every room and on walls inside the house, which means Cassandra can see and hear what everyone else is doing, intruding into the family member's privacy. Second, Cassandra seems to be very opinionated, especially when she tells Samira she has a broad head. It's like she has her own mind to say whatever she wants without her owner's prompts. But the most ominous is that Cassandra begins putting wedges into the family's relationship with Samira, and she starts by getting the favor of the impressionable Juno. While cleaning, Samira sees a vintage projector that shows pictures of a family from the 1970s, presumably the one who lived in the house before them. She makes a startling discovery after realizing that Cassandra has a great resemblance to the wife in the pictures. In a flashback to the year 1971, we see the Schmidt family who occupied the house. Horst, his wife, Cassandra, and their son, Peter, formed a picture-perfect family, but it was all a facade. Horst was disappointed that Peter didn't live up to his expectations. Cassandra was trying to be a good wife and mother, but seemingly failing at both, and Peter was becoming stressed and trying to earn his father's favor. Trouble was always simmering in the background, and one instance could trigger something worse. Cassandra found a lipstick stain on her husband's shirt. With Horst frequently out of the house due to work as of late, Cassandra suspected him of cheating. She later confirmed her suspicions when they met Birgit and her husband for dinner. Cassandra saw that Birgit was using the same lipstick shade she found on Horst's shirt. What was worse was that Birgit announced she was pregnant. Pregnancy was traumatic for Cassandra, and to think Horst was the father of Birgit's child just compounded her pain. In the present, the robot Cassandra continues to sow division between Samira and her family by making Samira look like she's losing her marbles. Cassandra also continues getting closer to Juno and shows David how useful she is with household chores. Samira decides to look into the house's past. From a newspaper article, she finds out that the Schmidt family used to live in the house. The wife, Cassandra, passed away in 1972. Around the same time, the house was converted into a smart home. Months later, the husband, Horst, and the son, Peter, also passed away due to a car accident. Samira shows the article to David, and she even leads him to the spot where the crash occurred. She strongly believes that the Cassandra embedded into the house's AI program is Cassandra Schmidt. However, David doesn't believe her. Samira has expressed numerous times her worrying concerns about Cassandra, and she even requests the AI program be shut down. Still, David dismisses her worries as panic attacks. It looks like Cassandra has successfully manipulated David into believing how useful she is, given that he finds it convenient that someone will do the house chores, giving him more time for his work. As for Juno, Cassandra has earned her full trust to the extent that she convinces the girl to bring something that will help her ace her theater auditions. She directs Juno to look under her mother's bed to find that object. Meanwhile, Fynn finds a new friend in Steve, and this friendship blooms into a romantic affair. However, Steve doesn't want to be seen as gay despite having feelings for Fynn, so he tends to hurt him whenever there are people around to show he's still masculine. Steve visits Fynn in his house and apologizes for his behavior. As expected, Cassandra overhears this conversation, and so the robot follows Steve outside and tells him to leave her son alone. Steve scoffs, "What robot would think of a boy as its own son?" In her bedroom, Samira finds a photo of pregnant Cassandra and her son. There are no records of the Schmidts having a second child, so Samira asks Cassandra about it, but Cassandra glitches, refusing to elaborate. In another flashback, Cassandra did her best to help her son Peter live up to Horst's expectations. She bribed the soccer team to let her son play in the field, as well as some players to include Peter in their friend group. But these only got Peter humiliated and bullied. Since he couldn't take it anymore, Peter took matters into his own hands hands. He fatally shot his bullies, and then he told his mother about it. Cassandra, not wanting her son to spend his life in jail, covered up the crime by setting the crime scene on fire. On her drive back home, she realized her dream family was falling apart, with her husband cheating and her son committing a crime. In these moments, it was hard for her to be tough, yet she had to. Cassandra hid the gun her son used under her bed. In the present, this is the same gun that the robot Cassandra convinced Juno to bring to her auditions. The impressionable Juno fires the gun. Thankfully, no one is hurt, but it sure causes a traumatic experience for everyone involved. Samira and David are called to the school to explain their child's behavior. There, they reveal what happened before that prompted the family to seek a fresh start. Samira's sister Kathy used to live with them in their apartment. Kathy was mentally ill, and David had concerns about her being with his children due to her volatile behavior. Kathy unfortunately heard David express his concerns, which led to her taking her own life. And it was Juno who found her hanging body in the kitchen. Samira pleads with the parents and the school board not to expel Juno. Fortunately, the school doesn't, but she can see that her daughter is being isolated by her classmates. Samira knows it's Cassandra who told Juno to bring the gun, but the girl refuses to tell the truth because, in her mind, Cassandra was her only friend. In a show of remorse and concern, Cassandra offers to turn herself off, but this is just one of her manipulative tricks to oust Samira out of the house. Wanting her daughter to still feel normal, Samira organizes a play date for Juno. She invites the girl Emily to spend some time in their house. They play hide and seek, which soon turns deadly. Samira doesn't know that Cassandra still has full control over the house, including the oven. So when Emily hides inside the oven, Cassandra closes its door and turns it on. Emily gets second-degree burns. The police are called to investigate. They don't charge Samira with negligence, but they decide to send her to a mental institution. Now that Samira is out of the story, Cassandra takes full control of the house. She doesn't hide her intentions of keeping the family all to herself. She keeps telling David she is now his wife, and to the children, she is now their mother. Although she promises to take care of them, she threatens to blow up the house if they ever try to escape. David wants to know the reason behind Cassandra's manipulative behavior, and so the robot tells the rest of her story. Back in 1964, Cassandra conceived her second child. Horst, wanting to know their baby's gender because he expected a boy, brought Cassandra to his lab where he and his team were developing an ultrasound imagery machine, which hadn't been approved due to its high use of radiation. Horst was greatly disappointed to find out their second child was a girl, and he failed to see Cassandra's discomfort when the scanner was used on her belly. She knew then that something was wrong, and she was right. When the baby was born, she had a lot of physical defects due to the radiation. Cassandra saw past the physical flaws and wanted to raise her daughter normally, but Horst was all about keeping up appearances. He forced Cassandra to agree that the baby, whom they named Margaret, would be hidden from the world. There would be no records of Cassandra giving birth, and Margaret would be locked up inside the house for the rest of her life. 8 years later, Cassandra was still haunted by that traumatic experience, and it finally caught up with her. She discovered she had cancer, most likely due to the radiation she received that night. She confronted Horst, who was still cheating on her with Birgit, and told him about her illness. She knew that Horst was developing something that, in his words, could cure all human sickness. Cassandra was willing to try it, even though Horst told her that his experiment was unethical, bordering on inhumane. He was experimenting on transferring what makes a human human, consciousness, emotions, and mind, into a computer hard drive. The body would never experience decay, but the person could continue living on. Despite the odds, Cassandra gave Horst the permission to experiment on her. All preparations were done. The house was transformed into a smart home, which would become Cassandra's body, essentially. Eventually, the transfer was made before the cancer took her life, and it was successful. It took some time for Cassandra to get used to her new life as a computer program, but Peter, and soon followed by Horst, realized that Cassandra being a robot wasn't the same as before. Yes, the robot had her mind and personality, but the robot wasn't human. In the end, Horst brought Birgit to the house to live with them. Bridget brought her newborn son, whom Horst had great hopes for. Of course, Cassandra wouldn't accept the mistress taking over her role as the madam of the house. She terrorized her family, leading them to escape the house. However, Peter was worried about his mother. There was an altercation between Horst and Peter, causing the car to crash. Both the father and son lost their lives. Birgit and her baby were fortunately saved. Cassandra found out about the accident, and since then, she'd shut herself off until the arrival of the Prill family. In the present, Samira is worried about the lack of communication from her family. She eventually escapes the mental institution and drives back home. There, she discovers that Cassandra has taken her family hostage. Samira manages to enter the house undetected, but she never expected instructed David to attack her. He says Cassandra is making him do this, and he doesn't want the children to get hurt. Samira escapes from her husband by hiding inside a closet. This closet actually leads to a secret room that hides a tragedy. Samira, as well as Cassandra, who follows her there, sees the mummified corpse of a young girl. Samira recognizes this must be the second child that was hidden from the public. Cassandra seems taken aback to have found the corpse of her daughter Margaret. Samira takes this chance to plead with Cassandra to spare her life. Even if Cassandra ends Samira's life, Fynn and Juno will never see her as their mother. They will only see her as their mother's murderer. In the end, Cassandra lets Samira go. Samira takes Fynn and Juno, and together they run out of the house, with David closely following them. All that Cassandra has ever wanted is to have a good family and be a good mother. Seeing Margaret's corpse makes her think there's no more reason for her to stay. Cassandra burns the house down, ending her existence. But in her dreams, she's alive and catching up with Margaret after all those years. And that's the conclusion to the TV series Cassandra. A little PSA: when you get your own smart home, make sure its AI system isn't psychotic and murderous and won't take over your family. See you in the next recap.